Hi, everybody, and welcome to Alex Erm's Clips. Imagine coming home early one day, only to find the life you knew was built on lies. What would you do if everything you believed in crumbled with one unexpected discovery? I nearly lost my $900,000 in a divorce, but I turned the tables on my cheating wife in court with undeniable proof. I work as an elementary school teacher, so my schedule is pretty predictable. I have fixed hours at school, and Tuesday afternoons are usually reserved for staff meetings that last until 6 p.m. That means I typically get home by 7 o'clock. My wife, Terry, who I've been married to for 31 years, often feels exhausted on Tuesday evenings after her gym sessions. So I usually take the initiative to prepare dinner while she showers and takes care of other household chores. But one day, our principal surprised us by canceling the staff meeting. It was only 3:30, and I decided on a whim to head home early. I figured I could get a jump start on dinner and maybe tackle a few chores before Terry got back from the gym. Lately, I'd noticed Terry becoming more distant, and I thought that a candlelit dinner might help rekindle the intimacy we'd lost. Our marriage had been rocky, mostly due to financial issues, and Terry had been growing increasingly stubborn and controlling. Despite everything, I tried to be patient. I got home just like any other day, parking in our garage, which is some distance from the house. We designed it that way when the kids were little so their sleep wouldn't be disturbed by car noises. After parking, I walked up to our 2-story house, and I noticed Terry's car was in the garage. It wasn't unusual. She preferred taking the bus to the gym on workout days. As I entered the house through the back door, I initially thought it was time to tidy up. I've always been handy around the house, and I made sure everything from door hinges to moving parts were well maintained and silent. Nothing irritated us more than squeaky doors. But something was off. Terry's handbag was sitting on the kitchen counter. That was odd. Terry was meticulous about keeping her bag close by, no matter where she was in the house. Then I noticed her gym clothes, a snug leotard and a large towel, lying on the floor near the counter. My mind started racing, and I heard noises coming from our bedroom upstairs. I thought maybe Terry had suddenly fallen ill and was upstairs. I cautiously climbed the stairs, trying to be as quiet as possible. Halfway up, I nearly tripped over a pair of men's shoes. Those shoes definitely weren't mine. Neither were the pants, shirt, tank top, and socks scattered along the stairs, mixed in with Terry's underwear, the ones she only wore on special occasions like our wedding anniversaries. I stopped dead in my tracks, my heart pounding. My skin grew clammy, and my blood pressure dropped, making me feel faint. I had to sit down on the stairs to steady myself. My disbelief quickly turned into a burning anger, an emotion I rarely feel, as I'm usually composed and in control, thanks to years of teaching. But now, that composure was nowhere to be found. Adrenaline surged through me, and I was angrier than I'd ever been in my life. Despite my rage, curiosity got the better of me, and I cautiously continued up the stairs, entering our shared closet. There were 2 doors ahead, one to the bedroom and the other to the bathroom. To reach the bedroom, I had to go through the ensuite bathroom, which connected to our walk-in closet. From there, I could access the bedroom. As I reached the closet door leading to the bedroom, I had a clear view of what lay beyond. The closet door was slightly open, giving me a direct view of the bed. It felt like I was watching a horror movie, and I couldn't tear my eyes away. I had been hearing those moans and grunts all along, but now they were overwhelming. Anger and disbelief flooded me. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I knew I would need this footage later, to convince myself that it was real and not some horrible nightmare. It would also serve as evidence for the inevitable confrontation with Terry. My gaze remained fixed on the painful scene unfolding before me. This was my wife, my love, my life partner, the mother of our grown children, a woman in her 40s who worked out, engaged in charity, and professed her love for me above all else. Yet here she was, betraying me in the most fundamental way. I stopped recording, descended the stairs quietly, and left the house. I walked for what felt like hours, not knowing where I was going, until I found myself in a park miles away. There, I splashed water on my face and sat down to watch the recording on my phone. I turned the volume down, not wanting to alarm the children playing nearby. The destruction of my life was right there on my phone screen. It was the wreckage of our marriage, and I finally let the tears flow. Update. By 7 p.m., my usual return time on staff meeting days, I was back at home standing at the back door. Terry immediately noticed something was off. My disheveled appearance, red eyes, and pale complexion were dead giveaways. "Honey, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice full of genuine concern. "You look really pale. Is everything all right? I'll get you a drink. Are you okay?" I couldn't bring myself to tell her the real reason for my distress. In a shaky voice, I lied, "Not really. Something upset my stomach, maybe lunch. I'm going to take a shower and head to bed." "Okay, hon," she responded, her concern still evident. "But take a container with you to bed, just in case. I don't want you throwing up on the clean sheets." Those sheets, once clean, were now tainted by something far worse than last night's dinner: betrayal. "It's fine," I replied more firmly. "I'll sleep in the spare room until I feel better." I then made my way to the downstairs guest bedroom. That's how it went for the next few days. Terry continued her usual routine, seemingly oblivious to my discomfort. I went through the motions at work and kept sleeping in the spare bedroom, using the excuse of a lingering illness. I knew I couldn't keep that up for long. Eventually, I moved back into our bedroom, but sleeping in that place of betrayal was a challenge. Terry carried on as if nothing had changed. By Monday, I had made up my mind. I needed to find out if this was a one-time thing or an ongoing affair. I informed my principal that I'd be undergoing an unexpected medical procedure the following day, and he arranged for a substitute teacher to take over my class. Tuesday morning, I left home as usual, but parked a few streets away from our neighborhood and walked back. I knew the back entrances to the neighboring yards near our house, so I approached our garage from behind, making sure no one saw me. I changed into casual clothes and soft, noiseless socks, perfect for moving quietly. Then, I waited. Terry went about her usual tasks, completely unaware of my presence. I could hear her in the kitchen, washing dishes and operating the dishwasher. Around 11:30, she headed upstairs, and I heard the faint sound of the shower, followed by silence, and then the toilet flushing. About 45 minutes later, she returned downstairs and opened the front door, leaving it slightly ajar. I didn't have to wait long. Around 12:30, he arrived. I didn't know who he was, but he came from the left side of our front gate. My phone captured a 10-second video of his side profile, and then an almost direct shot of his face. He didn't hesitate. He walked right in. The next words I heard sent chills down my spine. "Hey, lover, I hope you're ready for a big workout again," he said. Terry's response was like a dagger to the heart. "Of course. You always love it when I wear these. I sometimes wonder if it was these that attracted you to me in the first place. Or maybe it was these," she added teasingly. I'd seen enough. Their familiarity made it clear this wasn't a one-time thing. I retreated to the garage, my heart racing, trying to process what I'd just witnessed. Who was this man, I thought, and how long had this been going on? I knew I couldn't ignore the risk of any future intimate connection with Terry, especially given what I'd seen. My mind raced with questions. Who was this man? Why had Terry never discussed her feelings with me? I thought about her 2-year gym routine, a place where she had bonded with local married women and participated in charity events. Maybe the gym held the answers to our marital problems. Update: being a teacher, I had access to computers and printers, so I started my investigation by printing out the images I'd captured on my phone. Figuring out who this man was didn't take long. The following Thursday, I suggested to Terry that I join her at the gym. I told her I wanted to see if I might want to become a member, especially since I had a break from school due to midterm. Terry seemed hesitant, giving weak excuses like, "It's just a group of married ladies and we mostly chat during the sessions." But I insisted, and eventually, she agreed. Walking into the gym felt like stepping into an old Western movie where everyone stops and stares when a stranger enters the saloon. All eyes were on me, and I noticed some of the women whispering among themselves. We signed in, and I spotted the same man from the previous day. He glanced at me briefly, but then looked away, clearly nervous. The gym had a small section where people could sit, have coffee, and read magazines. I grabbed a coffee and sat down, observing everything. Not long after, the man emerged from a private meeting room. I snapped a few pictures of him to compare later. I also approached the front desk, pretending to be interested in signing up for membership and asking about some of the gym's regulars, including the man. The receptionist, a chatty woman, gave me a surprising amount of information. Her details, along with what I'd seen, led me to the man's social media profiles. It turned out he was married with a young daughter. His family seemed happy in all their online photos. I decided not to confront him directly. Instead, I gathered all my evidence and prepared to expose the affair. That weekend, I had a talk with Terry, laying out all the facts. She tried to deny everything at first, but eventually confessed when I showed her the evidence. She begged for forgiveness, claiming it was a mistake, and promising never to see him again. I didn't believe her. She filed for divorce a few weeks later. But I wasn't going to let her walk away with half of our assets, especially after what she'd done. With my evidence, I managed to turn the divorce proceedings in my favor. Terry left with significantly less than she would have if I hadn't uncovered the truth. In the end, I felt a bittersweet sense of justice. My marriage was over, but at least I didn't lose everything to a cheater. Now, I'm focusing on rebuilding my life and finding happiness on my own terms. Do you mean Boney? I probed further. She quickly corrected herself. Philip Boney. He usually wraps up every session with an intense exercise routine that really pushes everyone to their limit. It was disappointing that he wasn't there tonight. I couldn't help but think she was fully committed to this lie. I knew exactly how far Mr. Boney was pushing her body, but all I said was, maybe next Thursday he'll be feeling better. The thought of the upcoming encounter between my wife and Mr. Boney next Thursday gnawed at me, but it was time to focus on other matters. During the next school week, I had pickup duty. For those unfamiliar, this is when teachers oversee the area where parents pick up their kids by car after school. It's usually a chaotic scene, with kids eager to head home, chat with friends, and spot their parents all at once. For parents, it's a time of patience as they navigate through the stop-and-go traffic, hoping their child is ready when they reach the front. To my surprise, near the end of pickup time, a car pulled up, and the driver was the same lady who had tried to talk to Terry at the gym the previous night. "Hi," she greeted me, looking flustered. "I'm sorry, but I'm new to this whole pickup thing and I completely lost track of time. Is my son Timothy here?" As teachers, we're used to this, especially with new parents. I assured her, "No problem, I'll go find Timothy while my colleagues supervise the remaining kids." I located Timothy near his classroom, chatting with another staff member's child. "Hey, Tim," I called. "Your mom's here to pick you up. Come with me to the pickup area." He seemed a bit puzzled. Timothy was in his last year of primary school and didn't strike me as the type to forget about pickups. "That's odd," he remarked. "Mom is usually busy with her gym instructor on Friday afternoons. She often picks me up late. At my previous school, she sometimes didn't arrive until around 5:30. The moment I heard gym instructor, my suspicions grew stronger. I continued the conversation, trying to stay composed and casual. It's good to see your mom taking care of her health. Exercise is a crucial part of a healthy lifestyle. Do you happen to know the instructor's name?" I hoped his response wouldn't confirm my fears. "Oh, his name is Boney or something like that," Timothy replied. "He also works at a local gym and often gives private lessons at people's homes. That's what I want to do when I grow up. Mom really enjoys her workouts with him on Friday evenings. She's so relaxed and looks radiant by the time we get home. It's fantastic. Fridays are always takeout nights because Mom rarely has time to cook." No way, I thought. This Boney guy is involved with more people than just my wife. I walked Timothy back to his car where his mom expressed her gratitude. "Thank you so much," she said, relief evident in her voice. "No problem," I replied. "It's all part of the service. By the way, I don't believe we've met before. I'm Gerard Dawson. The kids call me Mr. D for short." "Nice to meet you," she responded, shaking my hand. "I'm Mary Jones. I remember seeing you at the gym last Thursday. I was there with my wife, Terry." Suddenly, her demeanor changed dramatically. She turned pale, almost trembling as she said, Yes, all right. I'll see you again, Mr. Dawson. Goodbye." She quickly drove off, leaving me deep in thought. It was time to chart my future, something I thought Terry and I had already outlined together. But this future now appeared grim, featuring only me and possibly no one else. Certainly not Terry. My anger led me down a path I had never imagined, a path of revenge. Over the next few days, I meticulously reviewed all the vital, yet often overlooked details of our shared life: who paid the bills, which insurance company we used, and when various payments were due. My database of this information grew rapidly. I discovered we had only a small amount left to pay on our mortgage, and my superannuation account had grown impressively to $900,000. I couldn't help but express gratitude for our teachers' union, which insisted on making compulsory super contributions part of a teacher's basic employment conditions. After thorough online research, I reluctantly concluded there was no escaping the fact that we would need to evenly divide our assets. Our children were now financially independent. We did have a substantial sum saved in a cash account, around $30,000, designated for a planned overseas trip. Unfortunately, that trip was no longer on the horizon. My first step would be to deplete that account as swiftly as possible before Terry realized I had uncovered her betrayal. I discreetly made several household appliances suddenly malfunction. I'd disconnect a wire here and there when Terry wasn't home, then claim that Mr. So-and-so had come to fix the particular appliance, charging a certain amount in cash, slightly less than his stated price. I would secretly stash away this cash and then repair the appliance myself. Through this method, I managed to squirrel away about $20,000. I also purchased tools and such, always paying with cash, showed them to Terry, and then returned them the next day for a cash refund. I admit it was deceitful, but the values of honesty and trustworthiness had already eroded in our relationship due to Terry's actions. The whole situation was turning me into someone I never thought I could be, a liar. Terry's Thursday afternoon workouts with Boney continued, and I no longer attempted to maintain any kind of sexual relationship with her. We simply coexisted like two housemates. Gradually, my personal belongings began to disappear into boxes in the garage. Terry rarely ventured into the garage, so she didn't notice the rearrangement. Her car was usually parked in front of it, and she was content to leave the garage as my own space. She did question the absence of some of my personal items from the shelves once, but I kept postponing it, explaining that I accidentally broke things or no longer had a use for them. Terry was fine with these responses, mainly because most of my belongings didn't fit her preferred color scheme or the desired ambience of the room. When most of my items were cleared away, it didn't significantly change the atmosphere in the house. It made me realize how much I had yielded to Terry's influence in many aspects of our life together. I withdrew as much of my superannuation as I could and purchased a small house on the outskirts of town. It was exceptionally compact, with only 2 bedrooms and a tiny yard, but it had a garage and was conveniently located near my workplace at the school. What made it even better was that the remaining mortgage balance allowed me to comfortably manage the monthly payments, even on half of my salary. This wasn't a grand mansion by any means. It's astounding how great a deal you can find if you're willing to forego the allure of flashy, popular neighborhoods. My separation plans were underway. I gradually moved my personal belongings into the new house. Furniture wasn't a problem, as I could easily find secondhand or pre-owned pieces at thrift stores. It felt like my life was pre-loved, once cherished but now forgotten, relying on charity for any value. It was time for those involved to receive their just rewards. I reconnected with Mary Jones when she approached me during a school pickup. I was alone with her son Timothy, waiting for her. When she arrived, she looked distressed. Her eyes hinted at recent tears. As a teacher, I was trained to pick up on these cues, giving insight into students' lives and their struggles. "Mr. D, can I talk to you for a minute?" she asked anxiously. "Of course. Since no one else is arriving, just stay parked there and come over to my usual spot," I replied. I referred to the benches around the school as my office. She parked her car while Timothy played with his soccer ball. We sat together on the bench near the pickup area. "I'm not sure how to begin what I need to tell you," she started. "I'm uncertain about how much you know regarding the gym you saw us at." I looked at her intently and replied cautiously, "I know that Terry, my wife, enjoys going there, and it's been beneficial in helping her stay fit and active." She hesitated, clearly struggling to speak, then continued, "There are things you should know about what happens there." Trying to get to the point swiftly, I asked, "Is it related to Philip Boney?" She responded vehemently, "You have no idea how much it involves that pig." "I might have an idea," I said, "but please go ahead and tell me." She confidently said, "He's a player targeting many of the regular women there." When I asked how she knew, she replied, tears welling up in her eyes, "I was one of them until last week. We met every Friday at 12:30. She paused, looking up as if reliving those moments. I too looked away, reminded of those sessions, though not with fondness. "I'm sorry for sharing this," she apologized. "I genuinely enjoyed what he was doing to me while it lasted. It was only when he had someone else taking my place during that time that he abruptly ended it, offering no explanation. Just a sorry, no more. I actually believed it was love." She began to cry softly, as if all the energy had drained from her. I sat there for a moment, then gently said, "How do you think I feel? Terry is still involved with that guy, and I can't seem to stop it." She managed to speak between sobs, saying, "We have to let her know the truth. We must expose Boney." I knew this was easier said than done. We discussed the best course of action to inform Terry and confront Boney's actions. I was determined to put an end to his deceitful game. So, dear friends, if you're enjoying these stories, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more juicy relationship tales. Thanks for your support.